People can sell you knowledge. They cannot sell you experience. Because if their method is really a true solid method, it took them years to get to the results. I'm not saying they're lying to you, but what they're not telling you is that they had to spend years to get to that final point. And as much as they say that they made the method fast and accessible and everything, they perhaps do not remember what the previous, I don't know, 10 years have been to get to that point. Now, what is the difference between a fluff seller and an outright fraud? We have to be very careful because there's a lot of fraud going on, even on the internet, when people want to sell you something. Okay, many of them are fraud. People don't know yet. The law most probably doesn't know yet, but they are committing a fraud, committing a felony. Now, we have to be very careful about this because people will sell you anything. But at the same time, we have to be able to understand and tell the difference between fluff, fraud, and something that is solid. Now, we have all three of these things on the net, on the social media, where it will even offline. Okay, but today most of the things we do it online, and it will be more so. So we have to understand how to tell all these things. Now, why do we buy fluff, for example, or frauds? Because we're stupid? Because we can't tell the difference? Because anybody can take us by the nose and take us anywhere? Not really. It's not that simple. You see, we are very vulnerable, especially when we are in need to find a solution. So the truth of the matter is that we sell fluff to ourselves. There are no such thing as fluff sellers or fluff sales. There are fluff purchases, fluff buyers. We are the ones who allow other people to sell us fluff. That's the truth. And we have to deal with this truth. Now, for one thing, let's understand the difference between a fraud and just plain fluff, okay? Then at the end, we'll also talk about the real thing. Fluff is, or rather a fraud, is when people lie to you, they try to cheat you with the intention of harming you. Well, they don't really have the intention of harming you. They just want something from you. And if they get that something from you and harm you as a result, well, you know, I didn't want it. I didn't mean to hurt you, but they actually did. So they only want your money, basically. That's what they want. Or they want something from you. And they don't care how they're going to get it. And they don't care if they're going to be victims in the process. They just want a very specific thing from you. Now, that's a felony. Okay, you can go to jail for that. Fluff is just you just oversell yourself. Okay, it's like a hyper sale. You know, you just send out there more of yourself than what you really are and what you really can provide. That's all. Okay, so it's no big deal. Everybody does that to a certain extent. You know, even advertisements or promotions, a lot of them are fluff. Okay, they're legitimate. We've been doing this from the beginning of times. And that's why I'm telling you, who sells you fluff is just doing its work. It's just doing its work. That's all it does. We have to be careful. We have to learn how to take care of ourselves. And that's what this episode is all about, to help you understand how to deal with these things. Now, for example, if on my website, I tell you or I send you to a page where there are all sorts of reviews from people that I worked with, and they say wonderful things about you, but they're false, or to a friend of mine, even if he never had any of my services or my products, they say, listen, do me a favor. I need to have some feedback from people so that I can advertise myself in a different way. Do me a favor, send me a positive review. That could be a fraud to a certain extent. But it's, perhaps we've all done this. I don't remember I did, not because I'm great, but I don't like this. But even if you did, okay, it's not a big deal. Perhaps how many friends do you have that will be willing to do this? So out of say 100 reviews, you have a couple of them by friends. That's okay. It doesn't mean anything. If they're outright false, then that is a fraud, and you have to be careful. Now, if I tell you that I have a method that can help you make you a lot of money, like triplicate your income this year, or even less than a year, because that method worked for me. And if that is true, that is not that is not a fraud, of course, but it is fluff. Why? Not because it's not true, because it is, but because you're telling people that they are like you, that they have the knowledge you have, that they have the experience that you have. Now you can sell them the knowledge that you can do, but there is no way that you can sell them the experience. And the reason why you have been able, as a salesman, or as a salesperson, as a company, a profession, if I was able to transfer my knowledge to these other people, it's because I have been working on that for years. So I know exactly how the whole thing works. You, the receiver, don't know that. And the knowledge alone is not going to be enough because you don't have that experience and nobody can sell you that. So this is why you have to be very careful. And, fluff sellers know how to handle these things. Now, unless that person lied to you, like outright, he did what every salesman does. And so you cannot really blame that person for having deviated you to make a decision you would not have made otherwise. Because he's just doing his job. He's just trying. You fell for it, it's your problem. You made an experience. So let's try to decrease as much as possible the rate of, the possibilities that you have of getting cheated by fluff sellers. Now, the first thing is that you should never, ever buy immediately from a place of weakness, of need. Unfortunately, most of the people that fall for these things are people that are in need. They need a solution. They go on the internet and they say, okay, who deals with these things that can help me? And you're in a state of inferiority to a certain extent in that position of weakness. So you have to make sure that when you see one of these advertisements, one of these promotions, go check this person. See how much he's been in the business for, what he's done before. Okay, what the reviews are, and try to understand if they are credible. Of course, that's not always easy, but we will talk about instinct, intuition. You have to learn to trust your intuition. That plays a very, very large part, but it doesn't mean that intuition will give you always the right answer. But it is an asset that you have, and that you have to learn how to use it, how to deal with it, how to interact with it. That's very important. So go and check that out. Don't believe everything they say. Okay. The second thing is keep your ego in its place. What fluff dealers, what fluff sellers do is that they're not selling to you. No, 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 no. They use techniques that speaks straight to your ego. And then your ego makes the sale to you. Is that clear? You understand the process? Because, that's the only way they can sell, especially online. They have to deal with your ego. And they say the right things. And of course, the psychology of sales have made incredible progresses in the last years. And people know exactly what to say, how and when to say it. And like I said, they're not saying it to you; they're saying it to your ego. And they say, "Okay, now let's have his ego buy from me." That's how it works. So don't let yourself be when you feel an impulse. Oh, this is great! This is exactly what I was looking for. I want this. I need this. I want to show people how good I am, how successful I can be. That's your ego talking. It's not you. The other thing is always think in terms of processes, not results. Now, when these people try to get your attention and get, of course, your purchase, they always talk in terms of results. You'll have this much, you'll have whatever you want, money, incomes, health, whatever, in very little time. And these are the results. And that's what people are attracted by. That's what your ego also is attracted by, because our ego is very concrete, it's very solid. It needs to see, okay, quit the talking. What is this going to do for me? That's how our ego thinks. That's how it's not. That's how it's supposed to be. But that doesn't mean that you have to follow your ego in everything. It can be very helpful most of the time, but not all of the time, especially when you're in a state of weakness. So if this person tells you it's going to be easy, my method is fail-proof. I have done this with thousands of people, I've helped them become millionaires. Now, the ego goes berserk. I mean, oh, all these things, I can do that too, because you're focused on the results. And people want you to focus on the results. The problem is that there are no such thing as results, because the result is just the final point of a very long and sometimes very difficult process. If people don't think this, tell you that you're going to do a lot of money and it's going to be easy and it's going to be fast, just shut that promotion off. I can tell you, it's not going to be that way, for sure. People can sell you knowledge. They cannot sell you experience. Because if their method is really a true solid method, it took them years to get to the results. I'm not saying they're lying to you, but what they're not telling you is that they had to spend years to get to that final point. And as much as they say that they made the method fast and accessible and everything, they perhaps do not remember what the previous, I don't know, 10 years have been to get to that point. And they don't want to talk to you about this. They don't want to talk to you how hard it was to get there. They cannot make it simple for you. What they can do, that's the only thing that they can do. If it took them 10 years, they can shorten it to 6 years, 6 months, sorry. But you have to work like hard for 6 months. Now, he's sparing you 9.5 years of trying to find out what the solution is, how to get there. And that's priceless. So even if you ask you a lot of money to spare you 9.5 years of experiments, of failures, of whatever, it's still worth it. But at least they're honest and say that there's a process behind this and that you can shorten it to 6 months, which is a long time if you want to make money. Let's say 6 months or 3 months, whatever. But it's still a process. Don't believe results. And the other thing is put the fluff seller, whatever, put him on the test. I mean, first of all, you don't buy right away. Don't get a 30 days guarantee, all this crap here. Never mind. Contact the person, send them an email, ask for an online interview, whatever. Write down all the questions that you wanted to ask him that you're not sure about. Let your instinct suggest you the questions. Don't make it only rational. Because if you make it only rational, your mind, with all those beautiful things the guy told you, the mind is going to push you to go for it. So don't only do it with your mind, do it also with your instinct, with your intuition. If something doesn't smell good, if it sounds too good, and if it looks great, something is wrong. Okay, they made that up for you. It's like they were wearing a tie, while for the rest of the year they just, I don't know, wear a t-shirt or whatever. Don't trust them. Okay, perhaps they really think they have the right thing for you, but they are not you, and they can't not know if it is for you. It doesn't mean that. Okay, so that's why you have to trust your intuition. Don't go for it only because it looks too great. If it looks too great, if it sounds too great, it probably is. See you next time.